everybody, it's Jeff at Cackle Hatchery. We'll talk a little bit about geese today and why you might want to purchase geese and have them in your backyard or as pets or for meat. They're very entertaining and they've got a lot of uses. Actually, they will imprint and think you are their mother if you get them right at the first day or two of their life. So, interesting facts about geese. So, we'll talk a little bit about, why you might want to buy geese, a little bit about the breeds, the different breeds that we offer, a little bit about their temperament, and maybe a little bit about their housing or needs that they need to be happy and successful raising geese. So a lot of questions are like, why would I want a goose, or why should I have geese maybe in my backyard or my farm? There's lots of reasons. I mean, some of the breeds out there are, they're designed mainly for meat or butchering. You might also be wanting to harvest some of the down off of them to make a vest, a down vest of some kind, or some type of insulated material out of their down. A lot of people will buy geese for weed eating. What does that mean? They like to eat weeds. So they help kind of clear out the weeds on your property and whatnot. If you have a pond or a lake, they're really beautiful out on the lake. They help keep it stirred up and activity going, and it's a very pleasant feeling watching geese on a pond or a lake. So that might be another reason. Some people will take geese and they're breeding them. They like the breed, so they want to breed them and they want to have baby goslings running around. They want to watch the reproduction process and have that husbandry feel on their property. Some people will get them to show or exhibit them. Every county, you will usually have a county fair. A lot of poultry are exhibited there. You've also got the state fairs. And then there are actual sanctioned poultry shows that have everything from chickens and waterfowl and whatnot. So you might be wanting to enter that. So it's a good activity for 4-H, FFA groups, homeschoolers, really anybody that would like to get involved in showing livestock. And one big reason is just the simple entertainment. They're great. So Toulouse geese, this is just a young one that just hatched out, and they're pretty large, and they're kind of calm and docile. So they're a good goose to have. So that's one good choice, maybe is a Toulouse goose. We have the white Emden goose, or Gosling here, we should say. And, they're also very calm and a big goose, and they, a lot of people will have goose, butcher that and have that as a meat product, and certainly for holidays and other traditions. So this is an excellent one for that. We also have back in catching. So here is an African goose, and they're kind of notable for their appearance and size. They will have a big knot at the top of their beak or bill when they get older. Now, African will have a tendency to be a little bit more ornery than a white Emden or Toulouse. Just putting that out there. And this one is a white Chinese. They can also be a little ornery when they get older. When they're sitting on a nest, they can not like you messing with them. Or the males too can get a little bit ornery. Now I call these the poor man's swan, because they have the elegant look on a pond or a lake, kind of like a swan. So anyway, here's your poor man's swan if you ever wanted one. So if you want to learn more a little bit about some of the geese that we offer here at Cackle Hatchery, some of their characteristics, go to cacklehatchery.com, look at our waterfowl, and we'll cover a few more topics here as we go. You know, beyond cute, geese, they make excellent watchdogs. So they are noisy. When something happens around that's a little unusual, they'll go investigate and they'll honk and make a little racket. If you have other poultry around, they'll have a tendency to protect it a little bit too. So they also make good watchdogs. As far as how friendly they are, that's a big open question on geese. Mainly if you spend a lot of time with them and you handle them, and if you don't keep feed out all the time and you just feed them at certain times, they get to know you as their caregiver and they know that you've got foods. They're going to be a little bit nicer to you. So if you want to have friendly geese, those are a few tips. So some other topics on should I raise geese or should I have some geese? You know, topics or concerns might be, or questions about what kind of housing or care tips, you know, what are they going to eat? So let's cover a few of those. Let's start at the beginning. So let's say if you hatch out some geese, or you order some geese from Cackle Hatchery and they arrive in the mail, or you stopped in at our store and you're taking home some baby goslings. So let's talk a little bit about the temperature. If you got them in basically you need to start them somewhere where it's a shelter, your garage or your back porch, some type of little brooder, to where you can put a heat lamp over on one side to where they can get under the heat lamp. Usually we recommend 125 to 150 red bulb heat lamp, and put that over on the side. But you also got to have enough room in this brooder so they can get away from the heat. So geese have a tendency to drink a lot of water. They make a mess. They take a bath pretty much every time they drink water. So they get themselves cold. So they've got to have a place to go under a lamp and get warmed up. So we don't want a heat plate. Most of those heat plates don't warm up enough, quick enough, and they're not recommended for a goose. They're not really recommended for the first 5 days. After 5 days, I think they're perfectly fine. But you really need that intense warm-up area when you first start out with a baby goose. So that's kind of some tips on what kind of heat they need to get started. Let's talk about the water. So that first 24 hours, you want to give them really pretty warm water, almost hot or pretty warm water. Why? Well, because geese drink a lot of water. If you have cold water in there and they're young and they're kind of inexperienced that first 24 hours, they might get their body chilled down too much and they're not able to keep their body heat up. So they can go into shock. They can also waterlog themselves. After 24 hours, then just give them room temperature water. Now, you don't have to have water all the time. That's what they want. But if you keep water out for a goose 24/7, they're gonna drink, splash, 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 bathe in it, get everything wet. They'll get their feed wet, get it moldy. They'll get the bedding wet, makes them cold and chilled. So, you know, you can take water away, but when you do that, take their feed source away also, because they really need water to help metabolize and clean out their mouth and their throat when eating. So it's important to do them together. So you'll just have a big mess if you keep water for them all the time. You'll have a pen that you're cleaning out 3 times a day. You'll have geese that get themselves cold and might get chilled and get sick. So it's a good thing to kind of limit their water and feed. Well, what about medication if they feel sick or whatever? I've heard not to give waterfowl any medication. Yeah, typically, you know, the only time I'd ever consider any medication for waterfowl is if you actually get a poultry vet that says, hey, this condition here is going to warrant some type of medication. So, you know, so a non-medicated water is perfect. You know, when it comes to feed, if you by mistake gave them some medicated feed, Generally what that medication is amprolium, which is a coxistat, and it's not going to hurt them or kill them. The reason they usually say don't give them any medication in their water is because used to you could get sulfur type drugs and other type of drugs that were sold over the counter, and a goose will drink 10 or 20 times as much as a chicken, and so they'll get too much of that, and that's a high potency type of medication, and it would kill their kidneys and do other organ damages. So you want to find a starter feed that's for waterfowl, because it's got certain nutritional values that are a little bit different than for chickens. So that's important too for their overall health. Bedding is another question that comes up. What should I put in there? If I have a brooder, kind of like these brooders that are set up behind me. Now these brooders are just temporary. They're just here for display only. Typically you wouldn't put this many in one brooder. But right now, we just took the water out, so they're all kind of dried off and looking nice. But you'll see that there is a heat lamp off to one side, and then they have a cool down area. So over here you can see, under this middle one, you can see there's ducks and geese in there. In the middle, they're not right down there in the middle. That's too hot. So they're around the perimeter a little bit. So that's kind of what you want. That's a perfect looking brooder that you can tell it's not too hot and it's not too cold. You've got active ones running around, feeling good and happy, and then you've got others that are just kind of resting, sleeping around the perimeter for the kind of heat that they're looking for or needing at that time. So the bedding in here, which is ready to be cleaned out, they've been watered and fed for the last 2 hours, so it's already damp and it's already packed down. So in here we had chopped straw. You can use straw. We try to stay away from hay. You can. Shavings are a good source for a bedding that you can put in. It's easy to clean out. But if you have a little brooder like this to get them started for the first couple of days, when you do clean it out, I'd sprinkle some lime on the bottom, and then put your shavings and or your straw, whatever you might need, over that. And that'll help keep bacteria down, keeps the smell down. If there's any bacterial viruses in there too, it helps kill those off. Another thing that seems to be, I guess it's worth noting, is that as you notice here, I have waterfowl in here only. I don't have baby chicks, poultry of any other kind. So you don't want to get your poultry in. If you're ordering chicks and waterfowl, you want to make sure they're in a separate brooder, because the waterfowl will get them too wet, they'll get sick, they're also bigger, they kind of bully them and beat them up, and then geese love to nibble on stuff. So you already have a problem that they might like nibbling on each other. Well, they like to nibble on the chicks too. So you have to watch out for that. If you start seeing them nibbling on each other, around their feathers and whatnot, try to put some lettuce or hang stuff off the side. Do whatever you can to get them nibbling on something other than each other, because they're growing new feathers right away, and you need those all nice and healthy and not disrupted, so they grow out properly and it'll keep the goose or the waterfowl healthy. So that's a couple tips on when they arrive, okay? The first 5 days, some things that you need to be aware of. Let's say now you have some geese that are 2 to 4 weeks old. So now they should be, if not already, they probably should be in a shed or some type of outside coop or a barn, because they grow really, really fast. So now they don't need any heat generally. Depending on the time of the year and whatnot, and how many you have, it kind of depends on how you're going to acclimate them from a brooder to outside. But they grow so fast, they get their body mass, they can produce their own heat. And generally, if it's spring or summer, you're not going to need heat for them after that 2-week period. And sometimes before, it just depends on the time of the year. So you're looking at a coop or an outside barn, where you can give them lots of room. They need lots of room. They do eat and drink a lot, and they poop a lot. So you want to have good area for them. Now, do you want them on grass right away? Yeah, you want to get them on grass as soon as you can, whether you're bringing them in at night or you got a watchdog or you're just going to let them roam. If you keep their feed source in their coop, they're going to know that's kind of home and safe, and they'll come back there generally. But yeah, geese love to eat grass. So to back up a minute, if you have these that you first have shipped in, okay, that first week or two, you do not want to put grass clippings in there. Why? Grass clippings are usually long, and when a goose eats, they take little bites off of grass and they pop them off, and then they can swallow them okay. And there's roots there, so it's holding it, so they can snap them off. If you throw in grass, they can't do that. So they're gonna get big old long grass things stuck maybe around their tongue, or get caught down their throat. So don't throw any grass clippings. If you want to do that when you first get them, get you a big old bundle of grass like this, hold it tight, stick it out, and then just kind of let them kind of nibble on it and pull off of that. And that'll be the best way the first week, so you don't have any of those problems with grass. But they love grass, and hopefully in the future that's what they'll eat mostly of, is grass and insects. So that'll keep your feed bill down. 2 to 4 weeks, again, we're trying to figure out how to get them outside into a coop. Generally no heat. It's got to be safe from varmints. And I would keep them away from the pond. They would love to get on the pond, but they still have these juvenile feathers. And if they get out there too long, they're going to get soaked and swamped and heavy, and they're not going to be able to swim and could get in a crisis situation. So you kind of want to hold off on that if you can. If you got a little baby pool or something you can put out and put water in it, that's all great. They'll love it. They'll learn to swim and play, and that's how they clean themselves and what makes them happy. So try to do that. They're a little bit too young yet to really safely put them out on a pond or lake. At 3 months, most of them will have enough adult feathers on to where they're able to go out on a pond or lake. And be out there safely for a long time and not get waterlogged. So that's kind of the timetable. It varies a little bit depending on the breed. When they're full grown, I don't know, when are they full grown? Well, generally by 5 to 6 months, most of these have their full grown feathers on, their full grown stature. So they've gone through at least 3 phases of feathering, and that's their mature look. So what kind of housing should you have then? Well, some people just let them free range and let them fend for themselves, Typically though, they're going to be vulnerable to all kinds of predators, whether it's a fox or a hawk or whatnot. So, having a barn is good, a lean-to or a shed. Generally, through the spring and summer and fall and even some of the winter, a lean-to building that has a wall wherever the wind's coming from. Generally in my areas from the northwest, so I would put, a wall on the northwest corner, and I could leave these others open and just have so they need a windbreak, what they need, and they need to have at least a dry area to bed down and sleep. Some people put up a doghouse too, and a couple of geese get to, they like that doghouse as a house to live in. So different things can happen, I guess, as far as their living quarters once they're full grown. One of our service reps, they get lots of calls in and all kinds of questions, and we do our best to try to help answer them. We got a call just the other day talking about, I was thinking about getting geese. Are they good for beginners? And, it could be a loaded question, but we've talked about how geese are and what we need for geese. So you gotta have a little education on what you're gonna buy and what to expect. But I'd say for a beginner, some of the pros are that, that they are hardy. Of all the poultry that you might buy, they have the best chance of shipping really well and starting growing really well without any sickness or problems. So that's one pro on a goose or goslings, if you order them. They do grow quick, so you get to watch real quick how fast they grow and change, and their personalities change. So you get to kind of experience all that in real fast time versus, waiting 6 months. You get to see a lot of it within weeks. And I also mentioned that, rarely does a goose get sick. I mean, if a goose gets sick, usually they've gotten something stuck in their throat, or they've got some leg problems because they've not been fed the proper kind of feed. Those are two big ones. Or you let them get into the water and get themselves waterlogged, and they've gotten chilled, and they can get sick from that. So those are 3 reasons why a goose might get sick, the top 3 in my opinion anyway. Another great thing for beginners is the terminology of imprinting. So when a goose is hatched out, and the same thing with a lot of waterfowl, not all of them, but most of them, that first 2 days, their instincts are telling them, look around, who's my mom, who's my mom? So if you're there cuddling them, petting them, giving them water and moving them around, all you gotta do is start quacking and walking around, they're gonna follow you. So they're gonna immediately think you're their mother. So it's a fantastic experience. Certainly if you can keep that up, that instinct will continue for quite a while through their life. At some point, they're gonna wanna migrate and get into their flock, their mating situation and whatnot, so they might be starting to pull away. But in early life, it's an amazing thing to experience. So kids will like that, grown-ups like that. So that's something unique for a beginner. One other little thing too, if you're comparing to other poultry, they're a little bit easier to catch generally. They're a little bit slower, you can actually, if you put the time in and they're comfortable with you, they're easier to catch and whatnot. But that's debatable too. But that's something I would consider too. That would be kind of neat as a beginner. If we're talking about, the biggest con or the biggest thing that you need to be aware of, I guess, when you start to raise geese, is that they're going to be very, very messy. So that mess usually becomes because they eat a lot and they poop a lot and they drink and play a lot in the water. So that's your biggest thing to contend with on geese. So, geese can also be loud. Earlier in the video, we talked a little bit about being a good watchdog, and they'll sound off and they'll make a racket, when something abnormal is happening or whatever. So geese can be loud, and that might be pleasant to somebody and irritating to others. So that's another thing to consider, if you're thinking about raising geese. So, you need to have adequate space for them to roam and be happy and do well. So if you're going to keep them in a little old dinky pen and they don't get out very often, maybe that's not the best choice to have or raise, geese at your place. Territorial. So it kind of comes into their nature. They're very territorial. So they kind of, hey, this is my space, okay, this flock of chickens, I know you, I grew up with you, and this pig or this dog or this cat, you're part of my extended family here, we're okay there. But they can become territorial. So if you had a visitor over or a neighbor's dog, they might stick their neck out and they might start walking towards it and wanting to nip them. That's something that can potentially be an issue. So they are a little bit territorial. If you ever get bit or attacked by a goose, generally it's because, hey, you're getting in my space, I don't know about you, or they might be protecting their mate, or they may be getting broody and they've got eggs and they're thinking, hey, their instincts kick in and they feel like they've got to protect that. So if you've ever been flogged or bitten by a goose, it is a little bit traumatic. So what happens is that on a goose, if you imagine this is their beak, their top beak kind of lips over their bottom beak. And it's kind of got a sharp edge on it. So what they'll do is they'll bite you okay? That hurts a little bit, and it hurts some. But what they do is they twist it. So they got a hold of you, they'll twist it, and then generally as you're trying to fight them off, they're gonna pop it off. And so you can imagine something's got a little sharp edge on it, and it comes at you and grabs you and twists, and then it pops off. You know, it hurts a little bit. And at the same time, what are they gonna do? They may take their wing and whack, whack, whack. They'll hit you like 4 or 5 times in a second before you even know what's going on. And along that wing is, you know, a pretty hefty bone. And so here you are getting whacked like this. They're pulling you in, and then they're gonna whack you in the head or the arm or whatever. So getting flogged by a goose can be traumatic, especially if you're a kid. So that's another con or a thing you need to be aware of when you're raising geese. And lastly, I guess, you know, geese might not be the ideal setting, you know, for a neighborhood potentially. So anyway, these are things to take into consideration. You know, there's some terminology too, you know, like what do you call a baby goose? We have right back behind me here. You know, so they're called goslings when they're that age. What do you call a mature male goose? He's a gander. What do you call a mature female goose? It's a goose. That's what you call them. So let's say you have a bunch of geese out on the pond, or they're kind of sitting over here in the grass. What do you call them? The gaggle of geese. So you call them a gaggle. So kind of to end this video, you know, Cackle Hatchery, we breed mainly 4 breeds, but we have others. Our main breeds that we breed are the Toulouse, the white Emden, the white Chinese, and the African goose. Now in the fall time, we do offer some other geese selections. You just have to go online. Generally in October or August, we open up some of those fall selections. So we do have a few more selections available for the fall time. To summarize, I guess the best meat, if you're looking at what would be the best meat goose, I would recommend the Toulouse or the white Emden. If you're looking at the best alertness or the best watchdog, maybe consider the white Chinese or the African goose. You know, and if you're looking at, hey, I want something classic looking on my homestead or my farm, you know, the Toulouse and Emden are good choices. Unless you want to go the poor man's route on thinking that you have a swan out in your pond or lake, then go with the white Chinese. You know, the best buy would be ordering Cackle Hatchery Choice Geese or surplus geese. So that would be your cheapest way to go. It's whatever isn't sold that gets shipped to you. It could be an assortment or not an assortment. We try our best to get an assortment in that, but that might be the cheapest way to get some geese. So if you happen to get any geese in the mail from Cackle Hatchery, here are my little friends right here. They actually ship right in a little box like this, or it could be a bigger box or a smaller box. But anyway, they're a lot of fun. I think I have Toulouse and white Chinese in here, and they're already talking to me. So they're over here telling me stuff that I don't understand. But anyway, here are 2 breeds of little goslings. I guess lastly, why would you want to buy from Cackle Hatchery? This is actually our 90th year in business here. We have built our hatchery in 1936. We have 90 years of experience. I'm 3rd generation, my son is 4th generation. So it's been in the family. We've got a lot of accumulated knowledge with breeding and with hatching and shipping methods. So that would be one reason to consider Cackle Hatchery. Selection options, we have a lot of different options across the whole poultry arena, and 95% of them we all breed on our own farm here. So we're in control of the genetics, how they're bred, and that offering. So we have the largest selection of poultry in the United States, as far as variety goes. Our online ordering system is pretty easy. So we've made that pretty easy for you to hopefully answer most of your questions. So, it's a good platform to go in and order, but we have service reps sitting around just waiting for phone calls to try to help you on the phone. We do have a trusted reputation, so I get calls all the time or emails. Hey, I've been ordering from you for 30 years, and they tell us stories about the different breeds and things that's happened in their family with the chickens that they bought from us. So we have a pretty good long-term reputation. That's another reason. And we do have some shipping proprietary type methods that we use. So these are all good reasons to consider Cackle Hatchery. We'd love to get you started in some geese. So order from Cackle Hatchery. Just go to cacklehatchery.com and you can place your order there. Also, please check out our Facebook. We have a pretty large following on Facebook. We have a lot of fun videos and reels there, and a lot of funny posts too. So check us out on Facebook. YouTube, we've had a long standing with some YouTube videos. Subscribe there, check us out. Hopefully you'll find some educational videos there that can help you out. Lots of other social platforms that we're on. Come check us out, and thanks for your time today.